Circus peanut. At one motel, I had my first circus peanut. I was sitting in our car waiting for Dad and my mom to sign us in. There were some kids nearby eating some kind of candy. When they left, I spied a piece lying in the gravel nearby. I checked both ways to see if anyone was watching, then slid out of the car. I approached the object of my attention cautiously and examined it. It looked like a giant peanut, but it was orange. Maybe that's what they look like in this strange place called Florida. I smelled it and then touched my tongue to it. This is what the other kids were eating, and they seemed happy. Maybe it could bring a little happiness to me as well. I wiped it on my pants to remove any gravel dirt and took a small bite, and it tasted so good. I was emboldened and took bigger bites. It did make me happy. We hardly ever had candy at our house, but Mom always made sure we had pies and cakes. We moved to a trailer park in one town for a few weeks as Dad had found temporary work there. I don't know who this is, but it reminds me of us. Moving out on my own. While living at that trailer park, I decided that I should move out as the trailer was rather small and I was getting older, 5. So one morning after breakfast, I announced my intentions to my mom and told her goodbye. I thought we might start crying, but we held it in. She just wished me well in my new home, and I walked out the door into my new life. As soon as I got outside, I looked around for a building site and some materials with which to construct my new house. I needed to hurry so I'd be done by lunchtime and perhaps stop by my folks' place and eat with them. There was a scrap pile nearby, and I found a few boards that were long enough for my place, so I gathered them to my building site, which was no more than 2 feet from the back of my parents' place. That was ideal. If they ever needed me for something, I wouldn't have far to travel. I laid out the foundation of my house with the boards I'd gathered. They worked out perfectly with no cutting, which was great since I didn't know how to use a saw. Food was the next thing on my mind, and it was nearly 11 o'clock. I took a quick look around the trailer park and found a neat row of coconuts partly buried in the ground. I dug them up and took them to my house for lunch, but I didn't know how to eat them. By then I was thirsty and needed to go to the bathroom, so I stopped by my parents' place. I knocked and Mom came to the door. She hadn't changed a bit since I last saw her. She was getting ready to have some lunch and asked if I would join her. It was good to see my mother again. After lunch was eaten and we had caught up with the latest events, Mom said, "Oh, by the way, the owner of our trailer park said they saw someone digging up the coconuts that they had planted to become trees." I walked away feeling depressed, knowing that I was the one they were talking about. So I began taking the coconuts back to where I had gotten them. Moving out on my own wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. My house wasn't what I'd envisioned, and I had become a thief within an hour of leaving home. Rather than continue in a life of crime and die of starvation, I decided to move back in with my folks and help them out as much as possible. I was hoping that my house would look like this. Almost a smoker. While living in the trailer, we had 4 long clotheslines out back where I used to live. Mom hung the laundry to dry on those lines. One day I was helping her by handing her the clothespins as needed to hang up bed sheets. This was fun because in the process we were creating 3 long corridors, a great place to play. We had mostly hung the sheets and blankets when I slacked off from my job and was lingering in one corridor by myself. I saw something on the ground that caught my attention. No, not a circus peanut, but something more for adults. On close examination, I saw that it was the filter end of a cigarette. We Deckards were non-smokers, but I wondered what it would feel like just to touch it to my lips. I took a long look down the row of sheets, one way, then the other. Didn't see my mom anywhere, so I started to raise the stub to my lips, and suddenly my mom appeared. I cast down the tempter and turned away from her so she wouldn't see the guilt written all over my face. From that time, I have never smoked a cigarette. Our parents were good influence on us. Join me next Saturday for adventure number 7. Thanks for tuning in.